What if I told you that a man who lived in the 1800s, before electricity was everywhere, before cars, before the internet, predicted your life in chilling detail? He saw the struggles you'd face, the emptiness you'd feel, the choices you'd wrestle with, and even the chaos of the modern world you live in right now. Impossible? It might sound like it, but the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche described your world long before you were even born. But how could a man who never touched a smartphone, never saw a skyscraper, never heard of social media, understand the very problems you're living through today? Did he know something about human nature that we've forgotten? And here's the question that matters most. If Nietzsche really predicted your life, what can his ideas teach you about surviving, even thriving, in this modern age of confusion? Nietzsche wasn't just another philosopher writing for academics. He was a prophet of sorts, a man who stared into the future and saw a world where the old foundations of life would collapse. His most famous line is this: "God is dead." But here's the thing, he wasn't celebrating, he wasn't mocking religion. What he meant was that the old systems of meaning, religion, morality, tradition, were dying in the modern age. Science, reason, and technology were replacing faith, and once those old systems died, Nietzsche saw a terrifying vacuum opening up. Think about it. For centuries, people believed their lives had a purpose because religion told them so. Families, communities, nations, all of it was held together by shared beliefs. But Nietzsche predicted a time when those beliefs would weaken, and in that empty space, people would feel lost. Does that sound familiar? Because today, we live in that very world. A world where millions of people feel disconnected, anxious, searching for something to believe in but finding only noise, distractions, and endless scrolling. Nietzsche gave this condition a name: nihilism. It's the belief that life has no meaning, no higher purpose, no ultimate truth. Now pause for a second. Look around at modern life. Depression rates are higher than ever. Anxiety is everywhere. Social media tells us what to value, but those values are empty. Likes, followers, money, status. We chase shadows, and when we catch them, we feel nothing. This is exactly what Nietzsche warned us about. He said that once people stopped believing in higher truths, they would fall into despair. They'd feel life was meaningless. He predicted the crisis of mental health long before the words mental health were even common. He predicted a society where people drown in distractions to avoid confronting the emptiness inside. Doesn't that sound like the world you live in right now? But Nietzsche didn't stop at the warning. He offered a challenge. He asked, if the old values are dead, what will you do? Will you collapse into nihilism? Or will you create your own values, your own meaning? This is where Nietzsche introduces one of his most powerful ideas, the Übermensch, or the Overman. Now, don't get caught up in the word. The Übermensch isn't a superhero in the comic book sense. It's a person who refuses to be crushed by meaninglessness. Someone who doesn't just accept life passively, but creates meaning through strength, creativity, and authenticity. The Übermensch is someone who looks at a chaotic world and says, "I will define my own path." Think about how radical this is. In a world where people wait for society, religion, or politics to give them meaning, Nietzsche is telling you, stop waiting. Stop looking outward. Look inward. You have the power to shape your destiny, even in a meaningless universe. So when I say Nietzsche predicted your life, I mean this. He saw a future where you would live without clear answers, without solid ground, a future where old traditions crumble and new technologies overwhelm, a future where many would surrender to nihilism, but where some, a few, would rise above it and become creators of their own destiny. And that's the choice Nietzsche leaves you with. You can stay in despair, convinced life is meaningless. Or you can accept that life has no pre-written purpose and give it purpose yourself. Nietzsche didn't know your name. He didn't know the details of your life, but he knew the struggle you'd face, because it's the eternal struggle of humanity, to find meaning in a world that refuses to hand it to you. The question is, will you collapse into nihilism, or will you rise to Nietzsche's challenge? If this made you think differently about your life, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, do you think Nietzsche was right about the world we live in today? And if you want more deep dives into philosophy and literature, subscribe, because there's so much more wisdom from the past waiting to guide your future.